Hey guys, welcome to this Kit tutorial where I share lots of tips around Kit's popular email marketing automation features. So let's start with the automation features. So Kit has 3 automation features. So first there's sequences, and you can find sequences when you go to send, and then you can click on sequences. Then if we click on automate, we have visual automations. And then finally at the same automation tab over here, we have rules. So those are the 3 automation features Kit offers. So let's now take a look at each of these 3 to see what they are, what you can do with them, and how it all works. And let's start with the visual automations. So if we click on visual automations, the first thing you see are the automations you already created. And over here we can create a new visual automation. So instead of me explaining in words what a visual automation is, let me just walk you through the process of creating a visual automation. And while doing it, you'll understand what it is as well. So I'm gonna click on new automation. And now we can either start from scratch or we can browse through the Kit's templates. And by the way, before we move on, a quick note I forgot to mention earlier. I actually put together a complete online course that walks you through everything Kit can do. So it's a perfect beginner's course who want to get the most out of the Kit platform. And here's the best part, it's completely free.
It's free, bitches, it's free! It's free!
So let's get back to the tutorial. So browsing templates gives you a quick feel of what's possible with Kit's automation. And I do recommend checking them out if you're totally new to email marketing automation. So for example, with all these templates, you can click on preview. And if you click on the preview button, you see how the automation works. So this is the start of the automation. This is how the automation gets triggered. That's how it's called. So here's a little explanation. All subscribers who sign up through the podcast landing page will start this automation. So this is basically just a sign up form. And when people sign up through that form, this particular automation, so the welcome subscribers to your podcast automation, will start, will trigger. Then there is a yes and no path, and then there are some more action steps here. So again, if you're totally new to this, I do advise you to click on preview on a few of these templates to get a feel and to get a grasp at how the Kit email automation works. I explain everything in detail too in this video, but clicking those preview buttons is just a quick introduction of the Kit automation builder before we move on with the video. So in this tutorial, I'm gonna use the start from scratch option. So I'm gonna click on start from scratch and I'm gonna click on start building. And now we need to do 2 things when creating this visual automation. So first, I advise you to give it a name. It is optional, but it is recommended. So you can easily find the correct automation in the future when you give it a proper name. And next, and this is required, we have to choose an entry for our automation. So in other words, the trigger, the starting point. So it can either be joins a form, which is the most common way for an automation to start. You can also start an automation when a tag is added to a particular contact. You can start an automation when a custom field is changed or when a product is purchased, which is also a very common way to start an automation. But as an example, let's take my online dog training business. So this is my online dog training business and I sell these 4 books. I also have a course, an online dog training course that's included. And if we scroll down here on the homepage, here I have some blog posts. And this is a blog post that's about potty training your dog. And in this post, I link to a free puppy schedule. So a daily feed, rest and walk guide people can download by entering their email. So here's a link to that freebie, so to that free download. And this link links to a landing page I created where people can download that free puppy schedule by entering their email. And that's how most of the people join my email list for this particular business. And after they submit their email in my landing page, on my landing page, I send them 1 hour later this email. So this is basically a welcome email where I introduce myself, I link to my website, I link to my YouTube channel, I share a video about my own puppy journeys. And if we scroll down a little bit, here I give a sneak peek of tomorrow's email, which covers 2 common mistakes new dog owners make. So my idea for this video tutorial for Kit is to create something like this inside Kit. So before we choose the entry, we're gonna give this a name, as I mentioned before, and I'm gonna call it the welcome flow. Then we're gonna choose the entry, and for this entry, I'm gonna use joins a form. And then over here, we have to select the form that we want to use for the trigger for this particular welcome flow. So let's say that is this form as an example. I'm going to click on Add Event. And just on a quick note, if you're building your landing page or your sign-up form in Git and you're giving something away for free, like what I do with that dog training schedule, you're going to go to Settings in the landing page builder, and over here we have incentive, and over here you can upload that free PDF or whatever it is. So when someone submits their email on your landing page, they will immediately receive that free download. So that's not something we have to take care of in this visual automation. This visual automation is about selling your product, for example, which is the case for my online dog training business. I sell my books, my online course in the email sequence. So again, just a quick recap here. So we just added the trigger for the automation. So when someone submits their email on that landing page we created, then this automation will trigger. And over here you can see the number of subscribers that entered this automation. So because this is a new automation, it says 0 subscribers, of course. So then you're gonna click the plus icon over here, and we're gonna choose an action. And then we select the email sequence. So then over here in the drop-down, you can pick an existing sequence, or we can create a new one. So I haven't made the sequence for this particular welcome flow yet. So I'll just type the name. I want to create a new one. I'm going to call it welcome emails. Or maybe I'm going to give it the same name as the visual automation builder, so I know those two are connected. And then it says create new sequence, welcome flow. And I'm going to click on create new sequence. And then I'm going to click on add the action. So just so you know, alternatively, you can go to send, and then you can click on sequences, and you can also create that sequence over here if you click on new sequence. So it's the same thing as what we just did. So over here we can see the welcome flow I just created. It's already here, as you can see, but we didn't add emails in this sequence yet. And as you can see, it says 0 emails yet. But again, it's the same thing. So if you go to send sequences, you can create that sequence here, or you can edit it in the future. But if you go to automate and visual automations, here you can find that same sequence too. So if we click on welcome flow, that's the flow that we were just editing. And here we have that sequence we just created. So let's edit this sequence. I'm going to click on this green icon over here. And now it opens the sequence, as you can see. So this is how it works. This is the name of the sequence. Here we can see the visual automation we are still creating, right? This is the landing page, the trigger of the visual automation. This is the sequence, and this is the end of the automation. And this is the first email in the sequence. And then over here on the right hand side, we can see the different emails we have in this sequence. So if we add a new email, there will be 2 emails in this sequence. So that is how it works. If we go back to the first email, you can edit the subject line. We can enable or disable whether it is published, this email. So right now, at the beginning, all the emails, all the new emails you add will be in draft, so they will not be sent out. Only published emails will be sent whenever you activate an automation. So over here we can activate the automation in the beginning when creating an automation.
In the beginning,
when creating an automation, every automation will be inactive. So here you can activate the visual automation. You can tweak the delay. When do we want to send the email? And then over here, obviously, we can tweak the content of the email. And then over here we have some settings. Here you can select on what days you want to send these emails, at around what time zone. Here you can exclude subscribers from a sequence, whether or not subscribers can restart the sequence multiple times. So I'm gonna close this now. So that's just a quick introduction of the dashboard of the sequence builder here. So if we take a look at my first email again of my welcome flow for my online dog training business, that is this email. So again, many people that receive that email first land on this blog post or similar blog post to this one. And in these blog posts, I link to those free puppy schedules where they can download those free puppy schedules. And whenever they download those schedules, those freebies, they will immediately receive that freebie. But then 1 hour later, they will receive this email. And by the way, this is one of the 17 emails I sent to someone that downloads one of my freebies for that online dog training business. Every day I send a new email for 17 days. But that's just on a side note. More on that later. So let's start by giving it a better subject line than write a compelling subject line. So we're gonna tweak this to something like this. Welcome to my dog training platform. Then when do we want to send this email? I already mentioned it. I sent that email 1 hour after they submit their email. So I'm going to tweak this to 1 hour. And then we can tweak the content of the email. So I'm going to remove this and now I'm going to add my content. So this is the content I added. I'm going to add some links in the content too, similar to my actual email over here, as you can see. So I'm gonna add some links. I'm gonna select the text. I'm gonna click on this icon. So that's it. We now added some links to my YouTube channel, my website, to the video I'm mentioning. And then over here, I'm referring to that new email they will receive from me tomorrow. And then I'm gonna click on publish. So now, as you can see, this email is published, but the second email is still in draft because we didn't publish that email yet. Also, the visual automation is also still inactive. So although we published this email, the overall automation still doesn't work yet because we didn't activate it yet. So now we can go to the second emails. So in my case, for my online dog training business, I'm now currently testing to send emails every single day. Like a while back, I sent my emails like every other day. I also tested every other week. And now I'm testing every single day. So that's just a testing process. But it depends on your business, right? So how many emails would you like to send? If you want to send a new email the next day, then over here you can select after 1 day, of course. And then you can tweak the content just like we did with the first email. And then you can add as many more emails as you will like. So now let's say we're done with all the emails and we're going to go back to the visual automation builder. And you can click somewhere around here to go back to the visual builder. So now, as you can see, we're back to the visual builder. If you want to go back to the sequence, you're going to click over here on the green icon, which brings you back to that sequence. If you want to go back to the visual automation, you're going to click here. So you can go back and forth really fast, which is really user-friendly in my opinion. You can also add some notes here. So for example, not ready yet with all the emails or whatever you want to add for the notes. Then over here you can see how many current subscribers are in this sequence. So obviously it's 0 at the moment, and how many subscribers completed this particular sequence. And one extra tip, if your goal is to sell a product, like in my case, so my goal in my email sequence is to sell my books and my online dog training course. So in that case, you might want to filter out contacts or subscribers who already purchased the books or the product you're selling, right? Because if the goal of these emails are mainly to sell your product, you don't want to send the next emails if they already purchased the product, right? So to do that, you're going to click the plus icon over here, and then you're going to click on event, and then you can select, for example, product purchased. You have to integrate it with your e-commerce store, of course, and then you're going to select that product or any product, and then you're going to click on add event. So what does this feature do? So what it does is that anyone who buys gets pulled into this step and won't get the remaining emails in the sequence. And this is the last step of the automation, which basically ends the automation for that particular contact. And then another tip, I do recommend adding a custom field action here at the end of your automation, or adding a tag to the ones that complete your automation. And what we're doing here is that you're tagging everyone who finishes this particular automation, since Kit doesn't let you segment based on that by default, if I'm correct. So again, we're gonna click the plus icon here at the end of the automation. You're gonna click on action, and then over here we can click on add or remove a tag, and then for example you're gonna type finished welcome flow, and you're gonna create that tag. So whenever someone completes this automation, they will be tagged with finished welcome flow, so they have gone through the welcome flow. So that way you can easily segment these subscribers later if you want to do that. So next, depending on your business strategy, you might want to unsubscribe contacts who didn't buy your product by the end of your sequence. So let's say you have a similar sequence to my online dog training business where I sent 17 emails every single day. So basically almost 3 weeks of emails. So my audience there is people who either just got a puppy or are preparing for one. That means my window to sell is pretty short, maybe just a few weeks. So that window to sell my books, right? Because my books are focused on preparation for a dog. So if they don't buy during those few weeks, the chances of them buying later are very slim because that dog grows older, of course, and they basically don't need those books anymore. So if you're in a similar situation, you might decide to unsubscribe these contacts after the sequence ends. Especially since, as you know, you're paying for every contact on your list. Now, you could also choose not to unsubscribe them, but in that case, you need to keep them engaged with a regular weekly or monthly newsletter. If you stop emailing them for months or sometimes even years, they likely forget who you are. And when you finally send something new, they might even mark it as spam. And you can add that unsubscribe action by clicking the plus icon over here. And then over here we have an unsubscribe action. But for some reason, we first have to use the condition element before we can add the unsubscribe action. I'm not sure why that is, but we do have to do that. So we have to click the condition element over here. And if you have no clue what conditions you want to set, you can also select advanced filters and then just use all subscribers, click add condition. So now this is the last step of the automation. So they will receive the tag which says finished welcome flow. Then there is this filter, a yes and a no path, but it's basically for all subscribers. Then over here, you're going to click the plus icon. You're going to go to actions and then you select unsubscribe and add the action. So are you sure you want to add this unsubscribe action? Subscribers that reach this point will be unsubscribed from your list and marked as inactive. So this means you cannot email them any longer, but it also means you're not paying for that contact any longer inside your Kit account. So I'm going to click on yes, and then over here I'm going to add that same action. So I'm going to click unsubscribe, add action, yes. So again, this is optional, of course. So if you have no more product to sell these people after they've gone through your automation, so if you've pitched your product hard and they didn't buy your product and you're basically 100% sure they're not going to buy it in the future, there's no more exchange going to happen in the future with that particular contact, you can basically just unsubscribe them from your list. But again, you don't have to do this, of course. So let's continue with some more quick automation tips for Kit. But before we do, click that like button if this video has given you some value already. So one quick tip, in the visual automation tab, you'll see this starting trigger, right? So good to know, you can add multiple starting triggers. So in our example, we used a sign up form, but if you want to trigger the same automation from another form or condition, you can do that here by clicking the plus icon here. And here you can select a different form or some other entry you want to use for this particular visual automation. Then another thing, if you click the plus icon, as you may or may not have seen already, you cannot add a single email. So if you want to add an email, you have to select the email sequence. If you click the email sequence, you can add just one email in the sequence, but you cannot add just one email in here. You have to use the sequence feature to add emails to the visual automation builder. Then I've already mentioned it, but if you're going to use events, you can pull subscribers forward in the automation. You see it here, jump to here when a tag is added, for example, or when a tag is removed, or when a product is purchased. So that's what we used in our automation, right? Or when a date occurs, or when a custom field changes, for example. So again, you can move them forward, you can pull them forward to a particular step in the automation. Then there is also some more actions. So if you click the plus icon over here, we can also move subscribers to a different automation. We can start a different automation, or we can exit this automation, or we can remove them from another automation. So what are the next steps? So we've just covered the getting started with Kit's automation builder. Now I would like to help you authenticate your domain in Kit. I want to show you how to add a custom domain. I want to show you how to import your contacts into Kit. So in the Kit course, you can find an example spreadsheet you can copy and use when importing contacts. So basically, I want to show you everything Kit can do, and this includes using the form builder, the segmentation builder, the landing pages, features Git offers. So as I mentioned before, what you're looking at here is my Git online course. I made it for beginners so they can learn how to use Git properly. And now you're probably wondering, how much does this cost? Well, I mentioned it before in this video. This is the best part of the course. It's completely free.
Free! Free! Free!
So instead of charging like $150 for this course, I'm giving it away at no cost, and that's because Git is actually covering the cost. And there is one thing you have to do though, and that is you need to use my link to sign up for a Git account. And the link is creatorag.com/Git. And once you've signed up using that specific link, you can email me at info@creatorag.com to get access to this course. So if you sign up through my link, Git will be able to see that you came through my link, and that's how they know and pay for your course access. And that's how you get it for free. And by the way, there is also some other goodies over here.